Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg. Under partly cloudy skies, we have 16 degrees on the barn thermometer. It is definitely a cold one out this morning, and snow in the forecast coming in later on, late afternoon, early evening, depending on where you're at in the state, continuing into Saturday. A couple quick calendar reminders and programming notes. Don't miss your chance to attend a Seed Consultants Winter Agronomy meeting. Visit seedconsultants.com to learn more. Also, join us next Tuesday as we'll be visiting with Holman Incorporated as they open up at the Fort Wayne Farm Show. Stop out and see them in booth 207. Fertilizer prices making agricultural headlines as the average retail fertilizer prices were mixed to wrap up 2024, with most actually up just slightly from the previous month. Now, prices for 5 of the 8 major fertilizers were slightly higher, while prices for the remaining 3 were lower based on the DTN survey. The 5 fertilizers that were slightly higher in price were potash, that with an average price of $444 a ton, 1034.0 with an average price of $613 a ton, anhydrous ammonia came in at $734 a ton, while UAN 28 was at $324 a ton, and UAN 32 was at $364 a ton. Now, the 3 fertilizers that were slightly less expensive than a month ago were DAP, that had an average price of $739 a ton, MAP had an average price of $809 a ton, and urea was at $489 a ton. Now, if we break that down to a price per pound unit nitrogen basis, the average urea price was 53 cents a pound unit nitrogen, anhydrous was 45 cents a pound, UAN 28 was 58 cents a pound, and UAN 32 was 57 cents per pound unit nitrogen. 2 fertilizers are now higher in price compared to 1 year ago. Both DAP and 1034.0 are 2% more expensive looking back to last year, but the remaining 6 were actually lower compared to a year prior. MAP is 1% less expensive, UAN 28 is 3% less expensive, anhydrous is down 7% from a year ago, while UAN 32 is 8% less expensive, urea is 9% lower, potash is 13% less expensive compared to last year. Let's take a look now at your Friday morning weather forecast brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com.
Snow showers overspreading the state of Ohio from the southwest today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. Moisture spreading in from southwest to northeast. I think by the time all is said and done, ahead of sunrise tomorrow morning, almost everyone will be in a coating to 3-inch camp. Most of us a coating to 1 inch or 2. But everything is done then, and Saturday turns out better with clouds giving way to sunshine. The snow later today is not going to be difficult. It's going to be a very gentle snow. I don't even think it blows very much, but it will stick to pretty much everything. So hauling grain or commuting, anything that you've got this afternoon or evening, is going to be something you need to slow down and take a little bit more time on. Once we get into Sunday, we are going to see clouds come back, a clipper system moving mostly through the Great Lakes. I'm not worried about precipitation for Sunday anymore, but cold air is coming in behind with clouds, and we're brutally cold for next week, Monday through Wednesday, early Thursday. I think late week on Friday and into Saturday, we see some temperature moderation that may try and come together over a large part of Ohio. Maybe a little bit of snow melt or accelerating that snow melt. But then we go right back to cold air by Sunday afternoon and into the week of the 20th, also dealing with some snow the week of the 20th. The wild card here is a Saturday night, we do see a band of rain. This is next Saturday night. We see a band of rain trying to come across southern parts of Ohio. So I'm going to watch that, zero in on it a little bit closer. That could make for a mess in southern Ohio. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
For farmers, it can be a challenge to navigate life from time to time, and agriculture can magnify those moments. Hi, I am Nathan Brown, a Highland County farmer and a member of the Ohio Farm Bureau Board of Trustees. Farmers, you are not alone. Help is available if you're dealing with stresses of farming. If you or someone you know is struggling with stress, text 4HOPE to 741-741 or visit go.osu.edu/agcrisis. A message from the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation.
Did you know that soybean meal is the #1 protein source used in aquaculture worldwide? Global fish consumption has nearly doubled in the last 40 years, making aquaculture the fastest growing sector of food production. Rich in protein content and highly digestible, soybean meal is an environmentally sound solution to feed the growing global demand for nutritious seafood. Soybeans, feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff. Taking a look at your agricultural headlines, today is a big report day from the USDA as traders will be watching at noon today a fresh round of reports providing fundamental updates on a wide range of ag markets will come out. First, the January World Ag Supply and Demand Estimates, otherwise known as the WASDE report, will visit the U.S. production after those estimates were left unchanged back in December. USDA will also report on the December 1 grain stocks, giving traders a look into demand for U.S. grains through the quarter running from September through November. And finally, USDA will release its winter wheat seedings for the fall of 2024 report. Now in the corn markets, corn futures have traded steadily higher since early fall as prices near the bottom end of the 5-year range have spurred extreme strong demand both domestically and abroad. USDA will attempt to estimate just how strong demand was through the first quarter of the corn marketing year, that with the grain stock report. Now, in the world corn fundamentals, traders will undoubtedly be quick jumping to page 23 of that WASDE report to check for any adjustments made to the South American corn production, especially with the concerning dry spell through much of Argentina and southern Brazil over the past couple weeks that will extend through the first half of January. And while there is reason to believe areas specifically in east central parts of Argentina will suffer yield loss due to this stretch of adverse weather, it's not a surprise to see the USDA wait to make considerable adjustments to that production estimate until we get into the February reports at the earliest, when there will be at least some corn harvesting complete. That would give them something to gauge the yields. Now in the soybean pit, soybean futures have found a bit more life recently. Following a drop to new contract lows in mid-December, the adverse weather in Argentina and southern Brazil has been seen as enough to warrant at least some risk premium in the market, but overall that is still not seen as an overly concerning aspect, especially regarding Brazil's soybean crop. On the world balance sheet, however, for soybeans, the Dow Jones pre-report survey shows analysts expecting a slight increase in world soybean ending stocks up to 132 million metric tons, that from 131.9 back in December, and this implies an offsetting production increase or demand cut somewhere in the world to the expected U.S. ending stocks decrease. If there is to be an adjustment, Brazil appears to be the obvious candidate for a production increase. USDA has been very steady with their record production estimates throughout the fall, and while they're not the lowest estimate out there, they're also certainly not the highest, with some private analysts well over 170 million metric tons. This combined with the non-threatening weather through much of the growing season so far may be enough to spur a touch-up from USDA's report. Now, in wheat, with a round of reports from the government, it should be unique to wheat in that it will give traders a glance in the new 2025 crop with seeding numbers for winter wheat planted last fall. And according to Dow Jones' survey of analysts, opinions are fairly evenly split on whether we will see an increase or a decrease in winter wheat plantings compared to 2024, but the average guess is for acres to remain even, if not a touch higher, compared to a year ago at 33.4 million acres. Now that since hitting a low in 2020, acres have stabilized in the 33 million range consistently, other than 2023, which did see a rush of acres planted in response to historically high prices. That is a result of Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. In the world market, traders will be watching Russian exports closely for any clues that they will struggle to complete the USDA estimate of that export of 47 million metric ton, a figure that was reduced 1 million metric ton in December, that in December's WASDE. Otherwise, Argentina and Australia will continue to be of particular interest in the report due to the seasonality of both countries wrapping up wheat harvest in the next month. This quick reminder, today is the deadline if you plan on applying for one of those college scholarships from the Ohio Soybean Association or the Ohio Soybean Council. You can actually apply for those scholarships online by going to soyohio.org, scrolling down and clicking on the links. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at your markets after this.
Watch your step, Ohio. Winter weather is here, so let's keep your team from slipping on the job. Make sure to examine your work areas daily and clear hazards that could result in a potential fall. Hoses, cords, buckets, farm tools, and equipment can all pose a problem. As the days get darker, you'll want to replace any poor lighting too. Keep walkways and entrance areas clear, dress for the weather, and stay safe and warm. This safety tip brought to you by the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Visit pwc.ohio.gov for more safety resources.
Soybeans grown in Ohio and across the heartland are meeting the feedstock demand for clean fuels. Biodiesel is a clean-burning and reliable fuel that enhances engine life, power, and mileage. Plus, this high-performance fuel works in any diesel engine without modification. With biodiesel, we fuel the economy, do good for the environment, and support soybean farmers. Learn how using biodiesel can add value to every bushel of soybeans grown at soyohio.org.
A couple quick calendar notes. Today is day number 2 of the Ohio Organic Grains Conference that is taking place in Sandusky, Ohio at the Kalahari Resort and Convention Center. A number of longtime organic grain growers as well as enthusiasts looking to learn more are networking and gathering for educational sessions. Also coming up, the Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association, or OEFFA, will be having their 2025 conference coming up February 13th through the 15th in Newark, Ohio. To register or get more information, visit their website, conference.oeffa.org. Let's take a look at what's impacting our markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Phone 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished up a shortened trading day on a Thursday with some green on the screen for corn and beans. Wheat was still lower all day long. Interestingly enough, the stories through the day were hard to come by. It was a risk-off day in terms of news headlines. Even weekly export sales report data did not come in because of the government being shut down in observance of the memorial for former President Carter. So it was a slow day that way. A new 3-week high on soy oil yesterday as concern is rising over Chinese used cooking oil prices. That collides with potential tariffs on non-veg oil imports later on in the winter. We also heard that maybe there are some problems with access to canola or veg oils from other parts of the world, and therefore U.S. soy oil could be an issue as well. U.S. crop year 23-24 imports combined at 11.4 billion pounds of canola and palm. USDA projects in 24-25 imports will be a record 12.3. U.S. will probably have to come to the table. That's why veg oil continues to lead this marketplace. As we take a look at other issues, conditions in the U.S. and Black Sea on the wheat have improved. Drought monitor features more degradation of drought and abnormal dryness across the Delta and eastern Midwest. Abnormal dryness is absent from the principal hard red winter wheat belt. The last 2 months have been very nice. We had the big snowstorm out in Kansas. It's put down some decent precipitation that will eventually make its way into the soil profile. Trade on average expects a half bushel to the acre reduction in U.S. corn yield on Friday. No change to soy yield. That sets us up on soybeans, I think, for a little bit of a friendly surprise. If soy yield drops, which I believe it should, 2024-25 ending stocks, it should drop as well. Corn is expected to drop about 60 million bushels. Soy down 10 to 12 without a yield decrease. If a yield decrease comes in, it could be even more. Am I projecting a very friendly report on Friday? Absolutely not. I'm just saying, look, if the trade expectations are for no reduction in yield, that gives us an opportunity. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look at how your markets closed. Brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. March corn was up 2 cents and May corn was up 2. March soybeans closed up 2.5 cents, while May soybeans were up 4 3/4. March Kansas City wheat, though, closed unchanged, while March Chicago wheat was down 2 1/4 cents, and March Minneapolis wheat was down 1/2. Now, in the overnight trade, March corn is up 1/2 penny at $4.56 1/2 cents. December 25 new crop corn is down 1 penny at $4.46. March soybeans are trading up 3/4 penny at $9.99 3/4 cents, with November new crop beans up 1/4 penny at $10.14. And wheat for March is up 1/4 penny at $5.34 1/4. The July 25 new crop up 1/4 penny at $5.55 1/4 cents. On the livestock side, from the Mercantile Exchange, we have February live cattle closing up $3.90 at $197.60, and April cattle were up $2.75 at $198.27 1/2 cents. February lean hogs ended the day up $2.30 at $81.77.5, with April hogs closing up $2.27.5 at $87.35. And feeder cattle for March closed the day $3.32.5 higher at $268.30. Your April feeders were up $2.92.5 at $269.07.5. Thanks for joining us. Stay warm out there. This is the Ohio AgNet.